Well, there's a lot of people. They're just not.
Go ahead and click that blue button where we got the recording going. Danny, go ahead.
I was gonna say there's a lot of people. I just didn't see them there on camera. So you guys use your beautiful cameras so you can say hello to these wonderful people. Come on,
Yeah, turn your camera on if you're able to. I know
turn your
some
camera on.
people
Yeah,
in class.
absolutely.
We got some people maybe driving. That's fine too if you can't turn it on. But if you are able, would love to have your beautiful faces all over my screen. So appreciate you guys being on. To kick off our meeting here, so as you guys know, it's shift pick call day. So we're running the shift pick calls over the next couple days. So make sure you have your calendar ready and have a few events that you're ready to pick. Obviously, we start right after this phone call with the tier one team. So if you have any questions, you can always shoot me a text. To be completely honest, I will probably be pretty unavailable most of the day, but I will try to answer anything in between calls. But you can always reach out to any event managers if you think they can answer your question as well, though. But yeah, just want to bring up Luciano here. So for those of you that don't know Luciano, you must be living under a rock because this guy is definitely the man. So Luciano, I actually had a chance to work with him at State Fair, Texas this last year. We got to work one day together. But I think the coolest thing is I was working with him and Mike Tortora, and I turned around and I was like, "Oh, just sold an Ultimate with steak knives." And then Luciano turned around and he's like, "Oh, I did too." And then we look at Mike and he's like closing on an Ultimate with steak knives. We literally, all three of us sold an Ultimate with steak knives at the same time. It was nuts. So definitely a first for my career. But yeah, so for those of you that don't know Luciano, Luciano's $2.8 million in career sales. His best week is 58,000, best day 33,000, which is humongous. Was that in the booth or was that
In the booth, yeah.
in the booth? That is insane. That is wild. Um, so big day, obviously. Proudest Cutco achievement, won the Silver Cup. What year did you win the Silver Cup?
2019.
2019, right before craziness started. That's awesome.
Yeah.
Education, dropped out of college, but worked out pretty well, obviously. Obviously, one of the top reps in the company. Nothing wrong with that. Oldest of four. How many siblings? You have four siblings. How close are you guys in age?
We're like super spread out. There's me and then 21-year-old brother, and then 15-year-old sister, and then I guess 9-year-old brother from there.
Okay, cool. Yeah, I've got three siblings too. But yeah, we're all within 3 years, so we're super, super close. Completely opposite, but it's awesome. Married to his wife Liz. Fun fact: speaks four languages: English, Spanish, Romanian, and Italian. I'll bet you that helps when you're traveling, working bases. And then some hobbies: loves to travel to experience different cultures, dine at Michelin rated restaurants. I know I don't know if you've been to Madrid, but my wife and I are looking for recommendations for one of those. So um, we'll
Got you.
talk. We'll talk. And then snowboarding, fly fishing, and all that great stuff. So Luciano is here to talk about kitchens. Luciano, go and take it away.
Yeah, thank you for that. Sorry, it's a little toasty in here. Yeah, thanks for that intro. I appreciate it. I'm honored to be here. I see a lot of familiar faces and some people I don't know, but I didn't realize your guys' team is so big. So this is awesome. But yeah, so it's funny you said the 33 day I had. The exciting thing with that is that was actually on 4 orders. So that was because of a lot of stuff that kind of covering today. And it's funny because it's when Lucky reached out, it was like, hey, we want like a kitchen talk. And I've done talks on kitchens and packages, and I'm realizing that, kind of I was putting it together. They all kind of both work hand in hand. Kitchens and packages, like they both kind of work off of each other. So I guess I'll kind of start with the purpose of today's call. I know I only have 30 minutes, and it's a lot to condense in this amount of time, but basically to give you guys a starting point of how you can kind of consistently start showing these packages and kitchens and getting comfortable with it. I'm just going to give you some tips that have helped me over the years to get to where I am now. And one thing I'll preface is if you guys were at Net, I think Matt Gray covered this on day one, is to just remember that it's taken multiple years to get to where I am now, right? To consistently have an average order over 2,000 behind the booth, that doesn't happen, overnight or over a couple months or even a year. Like that takes
Oh, we lost him.
Oh,
Oh,
It's too good.
we lost you for
did
a
I get
second.
kicked off? That was weird.
It's all good.
So I don't know where I cut off. So basically, yeah, it takes a lot of commitment to get to that, and being committed to the process. And then not only that, but it's also getting the experience of learning to kind of present them and learning how to pivot when you need to, but still staying on course. And I'll kind of talk a little bit more what I mean by that. But so you're sitting here watching this thinking, man, I want to sell more kitchens. I want to have a higher average order. Just know you have to make the commitment going forward. You can't just practice, these habits or have these habits that, only during fair season or at these couple shows. Like, it has to be done service events and federal if you do that, and in-home appointments if you're still like anything. It has to be done across the board. So I'll start with this story that I like to tell. I even use it to remind myself. It's a great lesson. Some of you have heard it if you've heard my kitchen talk in the past, but it's a story about one of my kitchens I had in Kuwait, which, if you guys know, I travel to international bases, and yes, I go to the Middle East. And I had the story of this guy that I met, who he basically, the point is this: you'll notice the more packages you pitch, the more kitchens you'll start to sell through upsell. The more kitchens you present, the more packages you'll sell through drop down. So these big orders, they really happen one of three ways. They happen, the ideal way, the first way, which is like you pitch a kitchen or a package up front, and like that's what they buy, and cut and dry, which we'll say doesn't happen very often, but it does. The other two ways is you pitch a kitchen, you drop down to a bundle, or vice versa, you pitch a bundle and you upsell to a kitchen. So the Kuwait kitchen story is essentially like a guy, it's my second time I went there. A guy comes up, he's like, yeah, my buddy bought the whole thing from me last year. His friend bought a kitchen from me. And I was like, oh, cool. So like, you're going to get the same thing he got, right? He's like, no, like, I don't need all that. Like, I just need the knives. Like, tell me about the knives. Okay, cool. Hey, no worries. Still did the kitchen pitch, the intro, how I normally do everybody else. And long story short, he ended up buying a full kitchen. It was, 12,000 line one, whatever it was. And it's funny because afterwards, he's signing the receipt. He's like, "What the heck, man? Like, I told you, I just went on knives, and like now I'm buying 12 grand. Like, I'm buying all of it. Like, you're really good." And I was like, "Yeah, here's the thing. Like, product is good. Like, your buddy got it. You're gonna love it." So the point of the story is, it's a lot of reps. I see this happen with not just with kitchens, but even with ultimates, with sets. It's like he told me very early on, like, I don't need the spoons. I'm fine with that. I don't need cookware. Like, we already have some. Like, I just need the knives. Like, we need new knives, right? And I could have easily just been like, cool, I'm going to take the easy knife set. I'm going to take the ultimate and just stopped and taken it and whatever. But the thing is, I have the commitments that like, hey, I'm going to do the same demo for every person every single time. And surprise, shocker, like he bought a kitchen, right? Because it's what I expect everybody to get. So, if you think about when you first started selling ultimates, or even if we go back more basic, when you started selling, homemakers, which are your demo kit, if a customer, you're going through the names and uses of the homemaker, the ultimate, and they interrupt you like, oh, how much is that? Like, I don't need a whole set, or that, I would never use all those, or that block is just huge. Do you stop your names and uses and you're just like, okay, yeah, sure, you can just buy these two pieces? Or do you say, okay, like, you don't need this big set. Like, let me just show you the basic set. Right? If you're a good rep, you didn't. I mean, maybe some people do, right? And you would say something along the lines of, hey, like, no worries, like, Cutco doesn't just make knives and make knives. Like, let me just show you all the different options so you know all your options, and then you can make a better decision, right? It's like sticking to the process. That's the point of everything. So at the end of the day, customers don't know what they don't know, right? It's your job to provide them with the full kitchen experience, the full Cutco experience. I can tell you most of these orders, nobody waddles up to the booth and they're like, all right, here's my Amex. Like, I want the knife and the flatware bundle. Like, I want this kitchen thing right here. Like, that doesn't happen, right? It's our job to create that. Customers will buy the sets and the packages that you focus on the most of the time. So for me, yes, I sell a lot of kitchens just because I'm laser focused on the kitchen with every single person, no matter what. I don't care who you are, what you look like, what you're wearing, right? I always find a way to go through my entire intro in a kitchen pitch, no matter how the interaction goes. And this kind of comes into the pivoting that I was saying earlier. So it's funny because I work in the division, some different people, but I actually end up working with Seth. I know you guys know Seth Kinzer. I work with him quite a bit, the international stuff. So I remember last year when we were in Italy together, we were there for 4 weeks. It was a lot of fun. We did a bunch of different bases, but it's funny because he told me something that stuck with me, and he was like, "Man, I noticed how you're not afraid to just sit on the kitchen and just continue talking about it, even they've like mentioned like they only need knives or they have cookware, or even after they told you like just knives for now, you still find ways to like integrate the kitchen and tell them about other things. So for me, that this is what I was saying with the pivot, it's always finding ways to talk about everything, right? So for example, let's say somebody, when you do the power intro, which I'll actually go through that here in a little bit, but when you do the power intro and they tell you like, hey, I'm only interested in knives, I'll find ways, creative ways to sprinkle that in there, right? And that this comes with doing it more and having more experience. But I'll say something like, when I'm going through the guarantee, I'm like, yeah, by the way, like what's cool, like I said, this guarantee actually covers everything we make. That's why most people, they'll actually end up getting our spoons and forks, just because, just like the knives, they're 100% American made. They're 100% they're last USA made. They're 100% dishwasher proof. By the way, like my wife actually dropped her spoon in the garbage disposal 2 years ago, and we sent it in. And they sent us a new spoon for free. So it's cool. That guarantee doesn't only cover your knives, but it covers the spoons and the pots and pans and these gadgets and accessories, right? So I'm like using that as a way to, maybe at the beginning they're like, oh, I don't need that, but I'm still using it a way to, because I want them to know about the other stuff. And then like, sometimes it's like if their interest is piqued, it's something like, oh, by the way, I know we talked about that full kitchen remodel at the beginning. By the way, like you don't have to buy all of it. We do have smaller variations of that. Some people will just bundle a set of knives with the spoons and forks, or they'll do knives with pots and pans, right? You don't have to do all of it. Another great way is if you does everybody use the Vast Action sheets? Nick, is that what you guys are using? Yeah. So if you guys have heard the I think Josh released the and I'm gonna go ahead on record and take credit for this because it's the Seth Kinzer like binder order. That's actually my order that he took from me, but it's okay. So essentially the idea behind it is that there's an ultimate on one page and the bundle on the other page. Signature with steak knives, signature bundle, homemaker with steak knives, homemaker bundle. That there's a strategic reason for that because again, let's say I'm showing them the sets. Yeah, here's the price, here's the discount, here's the 5 months. Oh, by the way, remember those bundles I was telling you the other day? Yeah, here's kind of what that looks like. Like I said, you don't have to buy all of it. You can just buy the knives and silverware, knives and pots and pans. It's like I'm always drawing their attention in some creative way to where they're seeing everything. They're seeing those big prices. They're seeing that they can bundle a couple things together. And you'll notice like when you're doing this more often, you'll get things like, oh, so this is the knives and silverware. And like they kind of start to direct themselves into other things, even though at the beginning they've told you knives, right? So it's this is what I mean when I say like learning to pivot of like, just because they shot you down at the beginning, that doesn't mean that you just give up on it and try to sell them knives. Like still find creative ways to sell them, to sell them on, why people get other stuff from Cutco too. So I'll go into the intro here in a little bit, but the one thing it's funny because people give me a hard time. Like Calvin loves to just give me a hard time about this, but people will look at my order count and they'll be like, wow, like your average is like 2,400 at the booth and like you have low order. Like, just wait for people to walk up with money. I'm like, no, that's definitely not what happens. Yes, I do qualify people when they walk up, but mainly I'm not afraid to just dive deep with every customer to maximize it, because the reality is the best customer is the one in front of you, right? You can get easily distracted, and maybe at a state fair, it's a little bit different, right? You kind of have to pivot a little bit, but for the most part, it's like the best customer is the one in front of you, especially if they've already are interested in ultimate, like focus on that person. So I'll tell another quick story because for me, stories sell. So again, with this trip in Italy, I had a guy that I was there for the week for 5 or 6 days. Guy comes up day one. He's like, yeah, we have a few pieces of Cutco. He was by himself. He basically pitched him the upgrade, the ultimate upgrade. And then he was like, all right, well, I'm going to bring the knives for you to sharpen them. I'll run it by the wife. And then I was said, by the way, like this set is heavily discounted if you just buy the set, right? He only had a few pieces. So I'm pitching the upgrade, but I'm also like kind of like pitching him on the idea of just a full set. All right, sounds good. He comes back 2 days later. I sharpened his knives. I had done the kitchen pitch with him. So he kind of planted some seeds, comes back, he's like, oh, what's the price? Let me talk to my wife. Whatever. I show him the price. And like, by the way, like you can do the bundles. Here's the different options. So now I've kind of like piqued his interest on the kitchen. All right, that's fine. He comes back with his wife the last day, sends her down. I have to do a full demo for her again. Like this interaction essentially takes the course of 3 to 4 interactions over the course of a week. While he comes up, like while he's talking to me, like Seth is talking to other people. So like I'm losing turns in theory. Long story short, what's crazy is on the last day, again, over the four interactions I've had with this guy at this point, including his wife, had to do a full cookware demo. They come back and she ends up, getting sold on it. And I end up selling them a kitchen with 24 place settings. So like at that time, that was my biggest residential order at the time. And the moral of that story is that I took a lot of time with him to focus on that customer in front of me because yes, I missed out on turns with Seth. I think maybe he sold one set there and I ended up having a 12,000 CPO order. Like I'm sure most people could agree, like that is worth missing a few turns, right? To capitalize on that. So for me, it's just, again, I come back to, it's like I believe every person deserves a kitchen. Like that's what it starts with the belief. It's the best package we make. So why shouldn't we just tell everybody about it, right? Everything I do is aimed at painting that picture and the concept of the kitchen with every person throughout the whole demo, like I said earlier. So this all starts with the customer's first impression of Cutco within the first few minutes or even before you open up your mouth. So what do you want that to be? Do you want it to be that we're a knife company? And by the way, we sell a couple other stuff too. Sorry, the lights are on an auto timer. So it's like, are you a knife company that kind of sells other stuff? Like maybe they sell pots and pans. I don't know if these are decorations or what this is, or are we a kitchen company, right? Do they get that picture up front? So the first thing starts with your display, right? That's the one. I know this is a controversial thing. It's like, for me, when someone looks at my booth, I know I've done it right. It's like, I love when people come up and literally I get this all the time. They walk up like, so like, do we have to buy all this? Or like, can we just buy the set of knives? Like I have my ultimate, I have my flatware next to it, and I have the cookware next to it. It's all right there, aligned next to it. And then on the other side, my one board of knives with the ultimate pieces, and then all my brochures, my Cutco Kitchen, my sets for life, my other pick your set with the cookware set, like that, brochures, it's all in the middle. So it's like, they come up and they're like, can I just buy a set of knives? Like, do I have to buy all this? No, I mean, most people buy all of it, but I guess I'll sell you a set of knives, right? So like, that's the kind of, when you get that, that's when you know you're doing it the right way. So, your display, what does that look like when they're first walking up? The next thing is your power intro, right? Which I'm gonna go into it. I know there's a recording of it somewhere, but I'll kind of go through it and explain that. And then also, Nick, I haven't been keeping track of time, so if you want to let me know, I'm just kind of going. So,
Doing great.
Before all of this, before your display, your power intro, none of that matters if your belief isn't there. And I know it's a very cliche thing. It's very beginner, but it's really the most important thing. I won't dive too much into this, but you really have to believe that it's the best thing we make and that everybody needs everything we make. But not only that they need it because it's the best, but that it's worth the money. I mean, that's the issue. Is I find most reps, they're scared to put out, like, I've talked to a lot of people. I'm like, why don't you put the kitchen price out? And they're like, well, like, I just don't want to scare people. Like, they're going to see that and they're just going to get scared. And like, then I can't do a demo for them. It's like, no, you don't know how to utilize that tool. Like, that's a tool there. Some reps, I mean, a lot of reps will put that out there to just price position Cutco, or just to like have a big number, scary number out there. Like, I use that as a tool. Like, I put that out there because I want to sell them that. Like, that's why I put the kitchen. I don't put it out there to just price position Cutco to sell them a set of knives. I put that because I want to sell them that package. Right. So you need to learn to, or you just have to be sold on the price yourself first. Right. Reality is we're not like a cheap pitch product. I know we work all kinds of different events. We don't catcall people in terms of like a cheap pitch product. Like, we don't cut hammers in a block of wood and all that crap. Like, we don't need to hide our pricing. We need to be proud of it. Like, we're the number one selling kitchen company, knife company in the world. We tell people we're the Rolex of the kitchen, right? We have, in my opinion, we have the best sales reps across any industry across the nation, like hands down. right? You have to be proud of that, and that shows, with your belief when you're quoting these big prices. At the end of the day, people will spend money on what their value or their perceived value is of something, right? It's our job as sales professionals to create that value. People spend $3,000 on purses all the time. My wife has spent thousands of dollars on purses. It's stupid. People spend $2,000 to $3,000 on guns, $5 to $10 on a whim on a hot tub that they use a couple times a year and then they forget about it. Like $5,000 to $10,000 on like these new TVs. The new TVs are insane. They're like $12,000 for some of these TVs. Like they have car payment leases that are $1,200 to $1,700 a month. Their kids go to $20,000 tuition schools, right? It's like you can't have this limiting belief that like $12K is just so much. Like I'm not even getting into like kitchen remodels that are 3 times that. So it's like you can't think that $12,000, not be confident that that's just too much, or $6,000 for knives and silverware is a lot. Like they only get scared if you lack the confidence in it. And it's funny, sometimes customers, they'll kind of test you on it. It's like $12,000, are you kidding me? That's like I can get a car for that. And most reps, if you don't have that belief, that confidence, they're like, yeah, like that's everything though. Like most people just start with a set of knives. Like they want to see how you respond. Like you don't know who that person is. You don't know how much money they have. Like they want to see how you respond. If you respond, yeah, I mean, it's $12,000, but people spend 3 times that on cabinets and countertops all the time. And it just makes your kitchen look pretty. It doesn't even cook your food. This stuff you're going to have for the rest of your life. You're going to move to another house and this is going with you. So it's like having that bulletproof confidence of it. And I've had a lot of those people that I'll end up selling that to because you just have that with every single person. And it's crazy because when you create these habits and these standards for yourself, I've sold kitchens to literally people in their 20s. I've sold it to like a 23-year-old kid. And I've also sold kitchens to people in their 80s and people that look like bums off the street. Like I've sold kitchens in 5 minutes, like just the concept of it. And then I've also done it over the course of 3 days, 4 days, like I said earlier. So it's like the key is the same demo, same person, or every person, every time, and have that confidence with every single person. So for the sake of this talk, more like I said, I kind of want to focus on packages, but they're kind of all combined together. But like I said, they usually come in 3 ways, typically 2 ways. Like we take the upfront, the pitch, you pitch it, you close it. The main 2 ways that they come from is either from a drop down or from upsell. The key to all of this, none of this happens if you don't have a strong power intro. I don't know if anybody is familiar with what I say when I mean the kitchen power intro, if anybody's ever heard that. I'm essentially going to just go through my power intro. And the reason behind it, what I'm trying to do with this intro is kind of tailored it over the years, but it's essentially a way to give them a bird's eye view of all of Cutco within the first 30 seconds to a minute of them seeing it. And this paints a picture overall of what Cutco is, and it eliminates a lot of the work on the back end for you of having to climb up a hill to upsell after they've been there for so long. So essentially the way it kind of goes, it's like, someone walks up to me, hey, you guys familiar with Cutco? Whether they say they have some, they are familiar with it, or they've never heard of it, it's pretty much the same thing. So it's like, yeah, cool. So Cutco's actually, people don't realize this, but Cutco actually started making cookware over 100 years ago. That's our original product line. Now, this is great just because it's 5 layers thick, so you get even heat transfer, and things don't stick and burn because of that. So I just tell my customers, Mr. Jones, it cooks like a nonstick pan without the toxic coating on it that scratches off into your food. Next, we got famous for our knives in the 40s. These are actually rated the world's sharpest knives by History Channel based on how long they hold an edge for. So most of these will actually stay sharp 7 to 10 years on average without any daily honing needed. Next, we make now it's officially the last USA-made spoons and fork companies left. So this is great because I know it looks fancy. It's actually designed to be your everyday use stuff. 100% dishwasher proof, doesn't rust and tarnish. It's awesome. Lastly, we have our gadgets and accessory line, which these are great because it's just the cheap stuff people buy over and over again. You have a collection in the drawer that you can't even open up your drawer. And then we have a variety of hunting and fishing and outdoor knives. Now, here's what's cool. The reason why people love Cutco, the reason why we're number 1 is because everything we have is backed by our forever warranty. So what that means for you guys is if you ever damage something or break it, even if it's your fault, we'll replace it for you totally free, no questions asked. And then at that point, it's like, yeah, so most people's end goal, because Cutco's forever and it's USA made, most people's end goal is to do a kitchen remodel with us. And this is where I kind of point them towards the sheet if they haven't already seen it. It's like, yeah, so this is people that are like, hey, I'm tired of buying cheap stuff. I'm tired of my pans warping, my knives dulling, my spoons bending. This is just like the one and done, never buy anything. You know, it's like a full kitchen remodel. Now, by the way, there's a few different ways to buy Cutco here at the show. You know, we have our best deals here. You know, you can buy all of it and rip it off like a Band-Aid. You can buy just a set of knives. Our knives, our silverware, our pots and pans, or a little bit of everything to just replace it all in the kitchen. And that's essentially the power intro, little tweaks here and there. But I don't know, I didn't time it, but it's like maybe that was 30 seconds to a minute. But with that, essentially what I've done is, again, when they come up to the booth, I want to handle the objections that they already think before I say anything when they look at everything. So what I mean by that is when someone looks at the cookware, what are the main objections that people hear, that you hear from customers? It's like, oh, things stick and burn. I hate stainless. I've already handled, I said it cooks like a non-stick without the toxic coating. So that kind of, it's one of the main selling points. Then the knives, that's pretty easy. And the main thing is like, hey, it stays sharp 7 to 10 years. You don't have to sharpen them daily. And then the spoons and forks, again, their main objection is, oh, that's the fancy stuff. I don't want that to rust. Like I've already told them this is every day, doesn't rust and tarnish, you can dishwash it. And then I've let them know about the gadgets and the hunting knives. So what's cool about this is they now have a side view of Cutco, and you're asking them, you're putting the ball in their court. This is why this is great, because you're saying, so now that you know about us, what do you want to learn more about? And they're like, well, like, so, and then here they'll tell you, sometimes they'll say, well, I don't know, we just built a house, all of it. You'll get that every now and then. For the most part, it's like, well, maybe just the knives. We'll be like, well, like we have cookware, but like maybe knives and the spoons are kind of cool, right? So this is cool because it saves you time because they're telling you what they're interested in. But they're also giving you ammo because they'll say things like, oh, well, like maybe we bought this already or we have this brand. It's like you can use that as ammo later on in the demo. So yeah, so at this point, you basically listen to what they say and then close them on that package, right? Do the demo, close them on that package. You know, if they say kitchen or bundle and it's not in the budget, you know, you can drop down, you know, from there, you use your objection process and you can either use the B-back pad to, you know, if you guys use a B-back pad, you should, if you're not. This is where the kind of the salesmanship comes in. It's like, you know, drop down if you have to, and then you can always upsell through, you know, asking the quality questions and doing the 1 to 10 questions. But again, none of this works if you haven't done a good job of painting the kitchen concept, you know, at the beginning in advance, right? So, you know, somebody wants a bundle, you drop onto the set of knives, you paint the picture of, hey, we have an upgrade program, just like you do on the knives. It's the same thing for a kitchen. Hey, we have an upgrade program. I know you want this kitchen eventually. It sounds like this is end goal. What we do is we get you started on the knives for now. Like instead of 12 grand, it's only $3 grand today. It's only 3,700 today. We can even split that over the 5 months. And then when you're ready, whether it's a few months or a few years from now, we just subtract what you spent on the knives from this kitchen bundle. That way you're not missing out on not just buying this full thing today, right? And it's painting that picture the exact same way you do on the upgrade. So that's kind of the drop down process of how a lot of these things, how they happen. So the bundles, you know, you'll quote the kitchen, drop down to bundles, or quote a bundle, drop down to a knife, and then paint that picture of you being their Cutco person, and they can upgrade down the road. And that's how you plant these seeds for these easy orders. It's like, hey, we got our knives, like we're ready to finish it out by doing the work on the front end. And obviously you can still upsell to go to a higher bundle or go to a kitchen. So that's kind of the second process is having these orders through upselling. So obviously these can go a lot of different ways, but to keep it simple for this example, it's like, let's say you close them on a knife set, you know, after you have the card, everything's filled out. You know, I still use order forms. I'm old school. You know, you sold them on you being their rep. What's cool is if you think about the psychology, once you have the order, once they're sold, hey, I'm buying these knives, I'm done, right? I use some phrasing along the lines of, oh, by the way, just so you know for the future, most of my customers who get this eventually get this. And here's why. and then you just kind of dive into the other package. Like, let's say it's silverware, right? Hey, most of my customers that get this complete set, they eventually get the silverware, and here's why. I know I covered a little bit earlier, but then you just go into the demo, bang, bang, like dishwasher proof, like I said, hand them a spoon, cut the leather with the table knife. And what's interesting about doing it this way is, let's say, if you think about it at the beginning, when they told you, hey, I just need knives, they're closed off the silverware. You can't really sell them too much because they don't, oh, I don't need it. But what happens psychologically here is, in their mind, they're done buying Cutco from you. Like, hey, you have the card, like, I'm gonna be your Cutco guy. They're done with buying Cutco. So their walls are down. So now it's kind of like a sneaky way for you to be able to sell them on another package, because again, they think that you're done selling them. This is all for the future talk, right? So what's cool is they're going to be a lot more involved and open to it. And they're willing to listen and kind of visualize themselves getting this in the future, right? They're like, oh, yeah, down the road, yeah, that'll be next time, right? They don't know that you're about to hit them with a Jedi mind trick. So you can use this time to, hey, by the way, just so you know, for the future, most people that get this, they eventually get this, and here's why. And then you just use that to segue into a full pitch on the cookware or on the silverware. And then at that point, it's like, hey, is it safe to say that next year you see me? Is it safe to say the flatware's for sure happening? Oh yeah, no, we'll come see you next year. Yeah, we'll get you free tickets. So we'll definitely get that for you next year. At that point, just using your sales, tying them into your goal of the event, or whatever, to get them to pull the trigger now. Hey, it sounds like this is pretty, it's safe to say you're going to get the silverware next year, right? Well, hey, let me ask you this. We've been doing this event for however many years. We're working really hard to break an all-time record, whatever. Tie them into a goal. I know you want this anyway next year, just for fun. If I bundle it with your knife set and I just you're gonna get it anyway next year. If I just tempted you, would you be curious to see what that would look like? You can say no, it's fine, but can I at least show you? Right? And you have that rapport, and it's this is how you get the sneaky upsells. It's by doing this, again, in a low-key way after you've already gotten the order. But the only way that this happens is that if you've done the planting the seeds throughout the demo, at the beginning, throughout the guarantee, throughout the whole demo, that you've planted the seeds on the flatware or the cookware, it only works this way. So that's kind of with the upsell version. And again, you can keep going. You upsell until they tell you to stop at that point, but using the same kind of concept. Hey, you got both of these, and just most people, that they get this, they eventually get the cookware, and here's why. It's right, using that same verbiage, that same process for every time until they say, we're done, stop, right? One little nugget that I'll use for this, and a sneaky way of kind of throw an upsell in there is, I don't know if you guys are familiar with the 15 pay concept, if you guys have ever done a 15 pay or 10 pay. But I'm opening my blue book here. For those of you that have never done the math, with the new pricing, it's funny because an ultimate with steak knives is $740 over the 5 months. If you look at the all three bundle, it's 11,866 divided by 15. That's actually $791 over 15 months. So it's essentially, if you have that person that's they want the kitchen, you can tell that they want it, but they just literally cannot budget whatever the payments are a month. Again, after you get their order, hey, just curious, is it safe to say that you would want the full complete remodel at some point? Yeah, I know we want it. We just can't do that right now. Hey, cool, no worries. I'm just thinking, just doing some math here. What if I could find a way to get you all three, everything that you want, but your payments would only be $60 more today? And they're like, well, what do you mean? Right? And it's you're planting these seeds, and then you pique their interest a little bit. Well, what are you talking about? What does that mean? And then you explain the 15 pay. Well, we have this thing. We don't really do it all the time. We're not really supposed to tell people about it, but we have a way where we can actually do it over 15 months. We lock you into the package pricing, and then you pick what you want up first. And then on month 6, we send you the second package. And then on the last one, we send you the rest of it. Right. So painting that picture, but that's kind of a sneaky way to tack on these orders throughout the year. And it's great because randomly throughout the year, like, oh, I get to roll another 3,000 CPO. I learned this from Kareem, actually. He's the one that kind of really made this famous, was doing these 10 and 15 pays. But the key is, again, doing it after the fact, because you don't want to overwhelm them. But it's a good sneaky way to kind of add in those bundles and kitchens. So I guess if I could kind of recap everything, if I give you guys really one tip, that would be a huge needle mover to selling more packages and then, eventually kitchens, is to just start implementing a kitchen power intro. Even if it's just on a simple level first, when you're first starting out to get comfortable, just something to let them know. Even if it's something that's like, hey, just, Cutco started making cookware over 100 years ago. That was our original product. And then we got famous for the knives. And now we make the last USA made spoons and forks. And we also make a variety of kitchen gadgets and accessories. Like, even if it's that on a basic level, once you have that, then you can slowly get more comfortable with adding like little tidbits and selling points of each section of the kitchen, right? That alone will just start off your interaction on the right foot. And you'll slowly notice yourself talking about kitchens and packages more and more. And then you're just going to get more comfortable about it. And you're going to start popping a bundle here and there. And then, eventually, hopefully a kitchen. Right. And then once you have your first kitchen, like, that's when your confidence just explodes. Like, once you have, I remember the first time I had one at the booth, like the full price on the sheet, I was like, wow, like, people actually buy these. Like, I see how this works. And then it's easy to be like, yeah, like, I had a guy yesterday buy this, and like, you start to have the confidence, and it's just like, then you get that bulletproof confidence with it. Right. The other secondary tip I'll give you is just to stay true to the demo, right? Don't let the customer direct where the demo goes. Just remember, you're the sales professional. You control where the interaction, how that goes. So just stick true to the demo, just like you do when you explain your knife sets. So yeah, that's what I got. I hope that helps you guys, and I'm excited to see, hear some stories about how many more bundles and kitchens you guys start selling this year. Especially excited for fair season for you guys.
Awesome. Appreciate it, Luciano. That was absolute fire. A couple nuggets that I got out of that. I think the biggest one for me was just finding a way to drop seeds about the kitchen. Talking about the flatware and the guarantee part. It's like, oh my gosh, that is like such a small and easy thing to do. But it's like, it gets the customer thinking about flatware and knives, not just knives the whole time that the whole demo is going on. So that was definitely a big one for me. And then obviously for the future, that's something that I've implemented over the last year or two, and it's something that I learned from Luciano previously. But yeah, I know that's definitely a very, very easy way to get permission to upsell and show other packages, because we're just talking about the future. It's okay, right? It's not about right now, right? But there's many times where it creates extra sales. We'll go ahead and take some questions. Luciano, you got some time, right?
Yeah, I got like 10, 15 minutes. Yep.
Okay, cool. Awesome. Kevin, go for it. Kevin Marr.
I was wondering what do you say to people that are coming up to the booth to kind of like introduce them to Cutco? Because a lot of times I'm saying like, hey, could you guys use some good knives at home? Like, what questions are you asking them, just to kind of say like, do you want to learn a little bit more about who we are, what we do? What is your kind of like intro question to them?
Yeah, so for me, I have kind of changed my thought process on that. I used to ask a lot, and this is what when we teach our coaching group. I kind of get away from asking the permission questions. Like, the permission, like, every now and then it's good, but it's like, you're asking too much. In my opinion, I'm at a selling event. They're walking up to my booth. Like, I'm not like pulling them into physically pulling them into my booth, right? Like, cheesy jokes is different, but it's like, they walk up to the booth. For me, it's like, hey, are you familiar with Cutco? No, not really. Or, yeah, my mom had it. Cool. Hey, yeah, here's what's cool about Cutco. Like, most people think, like, they think that we make just knives. We actually started off as a cookware company over 100 years ago. And then you just like dive into the approach. And after you do that power intro, then it's like, hey, so for you guys, have you considered replacing some of your kitchen stuff at some point? And it's like using that, because the reality is if they don't know anything about Cutco and you ask them like, hey, are you guys looking for some new knives? Like, they don't really know much about us. Like, nobody there needs like comes up there that they need new knives. So for me, it's like you walk up to the booth, I'm gonna pitch you. I'm gonna try to create that interest, and then from there, if it's like, no, we were just curious, like we just want to see what you were doing here. Hey, no worries. Let me know if you have any questions. We have some specials here. Thanks. And then it's like go to the next person. So I stay away from the asking too much permission. It's like all this. Like I used to be the guy that was like, hey, just curious. Like if you saw something you like and we could get you a good deal on it, and like you felt good about it, and like your husband wouldn't care, and like, and then it's like, would you maybe get something at the show today? And they're like, dude, I don't even know you. Like, I don't even know what this is. Like, no, we're good. Like, we're just looking. Thanks. And they walk away. Right. So it's like, don't do that. Just dive in and see what happens. So that's my thought process on it, at least.
Perfect. Do you only cut leather at that point? Like after they say, do you cut leather right away, or do you after they say like, I'd be interested more in just the knives, or something like that?
Yeah, but I guess like I save the leather for like, yeah, so would you learn more about? Most people say knives. So I'd be like, okay, cool. Yeah. I was like, oh, by the way, check this out. And then I get Cutco in their hands. If you're on like a really high paced, busy show and it's like maybe do the leather earlier just to kind of get that focus on you. But that's kind of where I save that. And I didn't mention this, but I save the sharpening. I don't tell them about any sharpening until I get to the guarantee. It's like, oh, by the way, I forgot to mention this. So like be strategic with how you spread things out, even the penny. Like I'll wait to cut the penny like when I'm starting to show prices so that they like, I try to find ways to like create highs because it's an emotional transaction. So it's like finding ways to create the highs with the penny, the leather, stories, things like that.
Perfect. Thank you.
Yeah.
Appreciate it. We're gonna jump to Lucky, and then Quentin, you'll be after Lucky. So let's go for it.
Lucci Gucci. What's up, man?
What's up?
I just want to say I really appreciate you giving the message to this group, first of all. So I just want to express my gratitude to you. I know you're a busy man, and speaking from all of us, thank you so much for doing that. So I wanted to ask you about your booth setup. You set up your booth in a way to sell kitchens as well, and I like having my two like boards out. I don't think you have any boards and in your display. So can you tell me like, I know everyone sells Cutco different. So can you tell me like
Go for it, Lucky.
yeah, can you tell me like the pros and cons to like your booth display and like just what you see like around the company with people having, two boards, a hybrid, no knives,
Yeah, this is a very touchy subject for a lot of people. I can hear Curtis yelling at me right now. But so for my thing, this is based off like testing that I've done. So I did two boards for 7 years of my career, 6 years of my career. Then I wanted to kind of focus on this. So I did some experimenting. I did the no blade display, and it's stupid. Sorry if somebody here does it, but I don't agree with it. I've also done the one board display with the Kareem style he puts one board of all the other knives that aren't in any sets. I tried that for a few events. Wasn't a fan of that. And then I was like, let me just try the ultimate pieces. So I got to where I'm just displaying the ultimate pieces. And for me, it's one, you got to think like we sell knives. Yes, we sell kitchens, but like knives are what people know us for. They recognize the knives. The knives are why people walk up to the booth. Like, doesn't matter how good your booth looks. Like, I saw people that come there, like, pick up a cleaver, like, they pick up the knives. That's what draws people into the booth. But at the same time, it's like, it's almost an overload. You don't want to have too many knives out there. So for me, it's like, I've noticed that I sell a lot more upgrades because it's like, it's just the upgrade pieces are here. But then also, it's easy to make the ultimate seem like it's not much when it's like, yeah, it's everything in our little basic set plus these pieces here. And it's a lot less intimidating when it's like, you get all of this plus all of this. And like, it's funny, customers, they don't really think all the time. They're like, wait, so I get like all of this plus this and like, and what's in the block? Like, no, like this plus this is in the block, right? It just can be overwhelming. So I've just found that with the one board, it's just more efficient. You sell more upgrades and it's easier to make the ultimate thing less intimidating. Because at the end of the day, like if you don't sell a lot of kitchens, burning the boards. If you don't sell a lot of kitchens and the worst thing happens, you sell a lot more ultimates, I'll still take that as a win. So, and if you guys want, I mean, I can text. I know Lucky I've sent you pictures. If anybody wants to see what my display looks like, I can post my cell phone in here. Just don't put it like on a bathroom wall or something.
Luciano,
if you want to see it, just
if you just want to
What's
text
up?
me the pictures, I can post it in our group me too.
oh, so yeah, I'll do that. It's easier. That way you can see kind of what I mean, how I set it up. So
Yeah. Thank you so much for answering that question. Just curious, because gotta follow the master, follow the model as well. So
Awesome. Appreciate it, Lucky. Quentin, go for it. And then Vern, you'll be our last question.
All right. Hey Luch. So this question might have some like moving parts to it, but for like the 10 and 15 pays that you're doing, do you take those people like off of any of your like future marketing? So like, cause I guess one worry I sometimes have is like, if I were to do like a 10 or 15 pay and then, I have a sale promotion that's happening 4 months from now. And what if they get that and they're like, oh, well, is this better than like the thing that I'm already like signed up for the 10 pay? Or so how do you handle that?
yeah. So by the way, I don't know if anybody knows, Quentin's like a magician, so it's pretty cool. But no, so with the 10 or 15 pay, I haven't really had that issue happen because again, with them, it's like, hey, you're being locked into package discount. It's just kind of explained that like, hey, the charge is going to come off, like you're getting everything. I think I haven't had that issue happen. I don't know of anybody that had that brought up. I mean, if for some reason they reach out like, oh, is this better? The way I kind of handle my sales for my customers, I say, hey, my sales throughout the year, I do 2 a year. It's basically like you buying Cutco at an event. It's for you not having to see me at an event. So that's how I phrased it to where like in their mind, it's the same thing. So like, I'll either come see you at the event or I'll buy during your Christmas sale. And it's the same thing. So I think that will kind of eliminate that over time. You train your customers to understand. It's like, hey, if you buy Cutco, you either come see me at the show or you buy during my Christmas sale. And it's the same event pricing. So I think that should eliminate it. Again, it won't happen too often, I think.
Gotcha. Cool. Thanks.
Yeah.
Vernon, you are the last question. Go for it.
What's up, bro? Bucks and six all the way. That's all I wanted to say. No, just kidding.
Not answering your question.
So 2 questions. One, why do you say we started off as a cookware company 100 years ago? And then my second question is, how do you / did you get your customers to open up their mind to cookware and flatware when they say like, oh, I'm good on cookware, I love my pans, I got great forks, blah, blah, blah. How do you open their mind to then, still buying a kitchen?
Yes, I think the first part of the question. So we started off making cookware over 100 years ago. So you can be careful. It's not, we started as a cookware. We started making cookware over 100 years ago because we partnered with Regalware, wherever, who has made cookware over 100 years ago. So if you want to nitpick, be careful how you say that. If that's kind of your issue, it's like, we didn't start making cookware. We've been making cookware for over 100 years because we are Cutco and wherever and Regal, we're all one because we're together now. So if that makes you feel a little better to say it that way, that's usually how I say it actually, is we've been making cookware for over 100 years. So that's that question. And then I think that's where you have to learn from experience of learning how to pivot of when they say, oh, we have this cookware. Hey, cool, no worries. It's like, sell them on what they want, listen to what they're saying. Hey, we just want knives. And then again, using at the end, like, hey, by the way, just, the reason why, just so you know, like for the future, why people like our cookware. I know you said you have some, but just so you know a little bit about ours. And then you kind of dive into a pitch that way. So it's like finding ways to build it because they think that they're good. Unless they have waterless cookware, they're not good, right? And then using that to, kind of how you do the upsell at the end. It's like using that as a way to, low key, upsell or sell them on the cookware to at least just be able to do the pitch. And you notice a lot of times when you do it, they're like, oh, cool. You start showing them videos like, yeah, here's why people love it. And it's easy to use, easy to clean. And you notice a lot of times when they just hear you talk about it, then they're like, oh, okay, well, that makes sense. Does that help? Does that help at all?
Yeah, it does. And then for when you're closing on the kitchens, so Vast Action has like 3 different kitchen packages. Do you kind of do like a 3 kitchen package close, like we do a 3-set close, or do you just focus on your 1 main kitchen package?
So I essentially just show this one. It's the main, the 1 knife set, 1 plate setting. That's the one. Again, it's like, so there's not like a set pitch. It just depends. There can go so many different ways, but for the most part, when I'm pitching the kitchen idea, it's that one. Now through questions, finding out like, well, like we don't need that set of knives. Like, oh, by the way, like we can customize your kitchen package. Like some people want the full set of knives, some people want a smaller set of cookware, and it's like breaking down to see like what exactly is in it. But like you'll find like once you paint the concept, like they'll understand, and it's like, yeah, we want all of it. But then sometimes you can say, oh, by the way, like if you notice they're hung up on something, it's like, hey, by the way, we can customize your kitchen bundle. Like we can get you the full set of cookware, but like maybe a small set of knives. Question like, do you like the idea of like the full one and done of the knife set? And it's like breaking down like each section and saying, hey, so let me show you the 3 different parts of this kitchen. Like you get the full set of knives, explain that. Then it's like you get the full set of cookware. Like, do you guys like the idea of all the cookware, or would it be something a little bit smaller, right? And then kind of breaking each section down in chunks and making sure that they're sold on each individual section to make it theirs, basically. And sometimes people do it all like that. Sometimes people, they want a basic set of pans, right? So it just comes through with like having the conversations of, asking a lot of like open-ended questions and like leading questions like, would you guys use this? Do you like the idea of the complete set, or would you need something smaller? It's like kind of narrowing down all the options.
Cool. Appreciate it, man. Thank you.
Awesome.
No problem.
Hey, appreciate it, Luciano. Appreciate you being on the call here and giving us the goods. We all definitely appreciate it. And look forward to selling more kitchens. And we'll see you in Madrid in a few days here.
Bring
Few
those
days,
basketball shoes.
Oh, I got them. Don't worry. But yeah, no, I appreciate it. Thank you guys. Honored to be invited here. And then, yeah, I'll see most of you in Madrid, hopefully.
Have a good one, man.
Yep.
Awesome. So, why don't we get a couple nuggets? Who's got some nuggets that they learned from Luciano? Just a couple.
Yeah, my first one was just basically like when you have people come up saying, oh, I don't need the whole set of knives. I just need like 1 or 2 pieces, but you still do your job and do a 3-set close. Do the exact thing with the kitchen. Like, oh, I don't need cookware, flatware, but you still do your job and present the kitchen. That was great.
Awesome. Appreciate it. Jared Farber.
Yeah, Viv wants to say she really liked it. But my thing was when he said, instead of saying forever guarantee, he said forever warranty. And I kind of like just that verbiage change because I think that resonates with people. Just like one little word change. Because like it's a guarantee, but nothing else comes with a guarantee. Like for real, everything good comes with a warranty. So I think I like that change of verbiage.
Awesome. Appreciate it, Jared. Alyssa.
The main thing that stuck out to me is when he said have bulletproof confidence. That really just stuck out to me, and just hearing his confidence, just talking about it to us was really cool too.
Yup. Yeah. Just have confidence and you'll sell them, right? Samuel.
There you go. I love what you said. I'm going to do the same demo every time. I'm going to stick to the process. I'm going to find a way to talk about everything. Learn to pivot.
Awesome. Love it. Yeah. Every package, every demo, every time. And Quentin, we'll hear your nuggets here.
Just like listening to his power intro, I just realized I need to slow down because sometimes I'll like cover the different parts of the kitchen super fast and think I did a power intro, but like I'm not taking the time to actually put in some value adds, like when he talks about like nothing sticks and burns with the cookware. So yeah.
Huge. Juju, you'll be our last one.
Sick. I think with his booth display, keeping it simple and sweet, not only with the booth display, but just in terms of the concepts and how we're speaking on the product. Customers don't need to know all the little ins and outs and nicks and crannies. Like, keep it simple and sweet, stick to concept selling, and then the rest will take care of itself. Because I know I can overcomplicate it if I let myself.
Awesome. Yeah, so something to remember. So obviously, we got a lot of info from Luciano, which is great, about how to sell kitchens. The big thing is, just like for those of you that went to net, just try to implement one thing, right? Don't try to copy everything that he talked about. Just implement that one thing. What's that one thing? So like the one thing I'm going to be implementing is like, I'm going to talk about flatware when I'm talking about the guarantee, right? Small, and then once you have it memorized and internalized and all that, then it's like, oh, there's a second nugget. Let's try adding that. So just kind of remember that as we hear from all these really high level reps over the next years, like, implement one thing at a time. Don't try to erase your whole demo and start from scratch. So but yeah, awesome. Next we have some team updates here so that we wanted to cover. So first off, exciting, we have a contest for our events team only. So it's incentive dinner, steak dinner. So we did the steak dinner contest last year. We're doing it again this year. We're super excited to do it. So the contest dates, you want to write these down. I'll send out an actual promo piece in the next couple weeks here, but it's April 30th through May 20th. And it's just CPO for events only. So if you work a traditional event, a service event, a mall display, industry, as long as it's on our team, really anything that counts towards the contest. If you get service call leads from a show and you tab them onto the event, that also will count. So if you go work a farmer's market, get 4 leads, you do a service call and you tab them on the service on that farmer's market. After you do the service calls, those also count as well, as long as they're within the date time frame. So $7,500 that's how you qualify, and it's $50 to go. If you sell 12.5, then you get to go for free, and then at 15K you get to go to both dinners, or you can bring a significant other to one of them. It's like, oh, Nick, there's 2 dinners. Yeah, there is. So the only 2 dinners that we're doing, so there's 8 divisions, right? It's the top 2 divisions is where we host those dinners. And it's not for the CPO it's not for where the rep lives, it's where the event is happening, right? So let's say for me, I'm Southern Wisconsin and I go work an event in Northwoods during this time frame, that CPO is counting for Northwoods division, not Southern Wisconsin, right? If Quentin works a Big Sky event, it's not going to IMD, it's going to Big Sky, right? That's where the CPO goes. And so if you don't want to fly to dinner, make sure your division wins, obviously. So that is everything. So yeah, 7,500 to qualify for one of them, 12.5 to go for free, and then 15K to bring a significant other or to go to both of them. Obviously, there are no extra payouts if you don't want to go to dinner. It's the dinner or nothing. So you should all go to the dinner. Who went to the steak dinner last year? You want to raise your hands?
I did.
Was it worth it? Was it awesome?
It was sweet.
One of the best dinners I've had, period.
Yep. So yeah, we don't do it cheap. So we definitely spoil the winners. So you all should definitely win the contest. So yeah, again, the dates are April 30th through May 20th. Juju, you got a question?
Yeah, this is a very specific question for me, but do my events that I'm working with North Star not count for this?
They do not, unfortunately. So it has to be it's only events that are within the 8 divisions that I coordinate. So
Okay.
yes, unfortunately, North Star does not count, but hey, we'll find something in the time frame so we can at least qualify, right?
I was in a similar situation last year, Juju, because only my CPO from Big Sky counted, but I was still able to qualify. So
Yep, because yeah, IMD wasn't on the team last year, so Q was driving up to Boise, Idaho to do some events just so he could qualify. So
Me
no,
too. It was
Yep.
pretty sick.
So awesome. Any other questions about the steak dinner contest?
Never miss an Uncle Nicky steak dinner.
Yeah. There you go. Heard it from Tuck. Next, we're going to roll into event manager updates. So this is something new that we're going to be doing. We have 5 event managers now. We got 5 people helping us, which is super exciting. They're doing a ton of stuff in the background that you guys probably don't even know about, but just know that they're working really hard because they want to make your opportunity better. So we'll just go around the horn here. Quentin, if you want to go first, that would be great.
Yeah, just got a few things. So most of you should know by now that I'm the service event manager. And we're going to be doing a bunch of shift picking today and tomorrow. You're probably going to be noticing just for campaign 2 that you probably have some open weeks or weeks without events, especially during the months of May and June. So for part of that, we've got the steak dinner contest. So that's a really good time to be getting some events in your schedule where you don't have events where you're at the booth, and that means service events. So during the months of May and June, if you have weeks where you're like, I'm not at the booth, right, but you still want to get some CPO in, something I would strongly suggest as you're planning out your schedule today and tomorrow. In fact, I would sit down right after you've done all of your shift picking for today, like today and tomorrow, and just hammer out like when are the times that you can do service events during May and June. Because what's cool, and Nick kind of spoke about this at Yeb, but you literally, because we all know that fair season kind of doesn't really kick in until like mid to late summer. You could have like your own state fair season that you create yourself by just hosting a huge round of service events during May and June. So I've created something to help with that because it's been brought up in the past from reps who want to just need a little bit of help of coordinating their service events with other reps so that they can get the cost down. So I'm going to share my screen here. We have a new form. So there's a service event form, and this is specifically right now for the contest because I want to help as many of you qualify for the steak dinner as possible. But basically, this form needs to be completed for each division that you plan on completing service events in, and it is a way for us to help you coordinate getting your service events booked with other reps. So here's how it works. So basically, you'll go in. It's super simple. You'll put your email in, your name, and I'll just kind of fill this out here so you can see what happens. My email is, I'll just put that in. Put your name. And let's say that I'm going to be doing service events in Big Sky. Okay. So if I select Big Sky, you just select which division you're going to be doing service in, hit next. And it's going to show you pretty much all the locations that we've done service events there in the past. Okay. And let's say I want to be doing some service in Boise and some service in Pocatello. And those are the 2 main areas I'm going to be doing service. Okay. So I'll just select both of those. And then next, it's going to take you to this page and it's going to show you every date that we have during the steak dinner contest. Okay. So again, this is here to help you so that you can get more event CPO in so that you can qualify for steak dinner because we want as many people to qualify as possible. So this is where you plan your schedule out so you know what dates you want to be doing service. Okay. And let's say I select, I want to be doing service on these dates. Okay. Then I'll hit next. If there's anything else that you'd like us to know, like you plan on being on this specific area on this day or something like that, you could put, additional information there, but submit that. And the due date to get this submitted is by March 15th, but the sooner the better. And then we'll be in touch with you and the other reps who are going to be servicing in those areas so that we can help you coordinate getting those service events booked together. Okay. So you have until March 15th to fill this out. And again, this is just a resource for us to help you with qualifying for the steak dinner contest. So plan your schedule today and tomorrow, this week, get it done. When are those times you can get some service in and get a bunch of lots more CPO in our service season of May and June?
Awesome. Appreciate it, Q. So yeah, so just like Q said, March 15th, you want to get that done. The reason to fill this out is to save money at some of these service events, right? So it's like, oh, hey, Nick, I don't want to work by myself at all these service events. Cool. Fill out this form and we'll help you book more team events. Maybe you're a brand new rep. Maybe you just finished field training this last weekend or the weekend before in the last, since the year banquet. You can still do service events. Even though you don't have a ton of past customers, you just direct schedule people from an event and then just do it on the Monday or Tuesday or Wednesday after, right? So do an event, last week in April, early May, and then do a service event on Monday, Tuesday, and that'd be a way to win the steak dinner contest too. So, so appreciate it, Q. We'll jump to Vernon next.
What's up, y'all? So you guys know that I'm in charge of the mall program. So similar to what Q was saying, if you look through your calendar, even for campaign 1 and even campaign 2, after we do shift picks and there are some gaps in your calendar, you can fill those with a short-term lease at a mall. You could do 3 days, 5 days, you could do 10-day, really whatever. When I was talking to Dante Reynolds, he mentioned that Sean Henry, who's the top rep in the federal program, he said, if I didn't have the federal program, I would treat the mall program like the federal program. The average 3-day lease costs about $400, and the average CPO is $4,500 over those 3 days. So obviously you'll have weekends where you might, do hardly anything or a couple grand, but then you'll have a weekend where you do like 5 to 10 grand. Ironically enough, what's cool, when I was talking to the manager for Fox River Mall in Mayfair, and I was asking her what are some of the busiest months, she actually said that August is one of the busiest months for foot traffic wise. So everyone thinks that like if you're not selling at a state fair in August, you're not selling anything. Besides the mall, there's so tons of events that we can sell work in August. But if you're not working like a big state fair, or if you're only working a couple days at the state fair, just like Q was saying, you can still have like a state fair season with short-term leases and other events. So just look through that. Like I'm planning on for May doing a lot of short-term leases and running it as a service event. So that's also how a lot of you can double dip, especially with the team contest that we have. And there's a couple county fairs that like I'm personally firing, and I'm going to replace it with like a 5-day lease just to see how it goes. And maybe this is just a new program that I can have under my belt that takes me to the next level. So if there is a mall that you'd be excited to work and try a couple days at it, definitely let me know, and I'll get in contact with that. And I also recommend not to just do like 1 or 2 and then base off your decision with that. This is a new program, so try like 3 to 5. Or even like 5 to 7, and then basically make your decision after that. So if you have any questions with that, let me know.
Awesome, appreciate it, Vernon. Yeah, it's another thing too with short-term leases. I don't know if you guys know, but there's a record book on our website, and there's some like weird like event, like a 12-day event. We don't have any major 12-day events. Hey, go work a short-term lease for 12 days, break that record, right? So just another little incentive, put yourself on the record board by doing some short-term leases. You can create your however many day event. Pretty exciting. So appreciate it, Vernon. Caden, if you could go next, that'd be great.
What's up, guys? There are still a ton of events that are unstaffed for campaign 1. So make sure you guys are checking those. If you don't have an event booked for a weekend or you want one, either try a new event. There's tiered events. You can do the mall leases. And keep in mind, every event that is tier 1, invite only, was a new event at one point. So you don't know the potential until you work it. So look through that. And even for campaign 2, there's still going to be a ton of events that will be added throughout the next couple months that we just don't have dates for. So once those are in, you guys can pick through them. So submit a booking request, let Nick know you want to work it. And same with farmers markets. There's just so many. We don't have the manpower to find all of them. Look in your town or whatever the ritziest area is within an hour from you. They have farmers markets every single week throughout summer, going into the fall. Same with spring. I know Kevin works Brookfield. I think he sells consistently 2 to 4 grand every single time. It's a couple hours, you're going to get leads, and it's really cheap. So if you guys need any help booking any events, or if you're unsure which ones to pick, you can always schedule a call with me. I'll put my Acuity link in the chat here in a little bit. And I'd be happy to help you, especially if you're a new rep and you have some questions. Meet with me and I can help direct you.
Awesome. Appreciate it, Caden. Yeah, farmers markets are huge. Brian O'Neill also works a ton of them too. He randomly found a French market in Wheaton, Illinois. Worked it consistently every week or 2 weeks, and it cost $100, and he was on average selling 300 to $1,000, and then getting like 4 or 5 service call leads where he'd sell even more at. So yeah, farmers markets are great. So appreciate it, Caden. Lucky is actually at a service event, so I'm going to cover his update for him. But with the next 2 events trainings are coming up. So if there's anyone in your local office, maybe you're a branch manager, it's good to know when these events trainings are, so you'll be able to promote this to your team. Or if you're a district manager and you're on a team and you want to promote these event dates and times. So the next one is actually going to be in May. We typically do it in May. We'll be hosting it in the 2 divisions that have the most reps at. So if you know anyone that's in your local office, let us know, and we'll definitely get them events trained. Just introduce them to Lucky. And then we typically have done a SC2 training. We're actually moving away from that just because it doesn't really work out, because most people, they get trained and then they literally go straight to school right after that, or it just doesn't work out. So we're actually moving that training to September. So that's something that's going to be new. We'll let you guys know on dates and everything, but May and September are going to be the next 2 trainings. And then we'll do year-end banquet training again as well. So just want to let you guys know about that. And then exciting year-end banquet training. We launched 14 people out of events training. Some of you are brand new and here on your first team meeting. So excited to see some faces from that training. Yeah, so team's growing. So CSPs, if you end up working with some of these new people, be patient, obviously, with them. They're new. And new people, don't be afraid to reach out to CSPs and or group me if you have any questions, because we're all here to help. So it's like, oh, hey, oh my gosh, Vernon, that guy that sells a lot of Cutco, I don't know if I should reach out to him. Go for it. He's post and group me. Or you see some other faces, Fonz, Tara, Kevin Marr, some of these big names. They're all people just like you, so don't be afraid to reach out to them, or on our group me. So yeah, CSPs, help them out if they reach out. And then Noah, we'll jump to you.
Cool. My update's pretty quick for everyone. I'm the display kit manager. So anyone looking to buy a kit, we've already sold a lot since I've started, and we're, I'm talking with a lot of other reps to sell more. So if you are one of those reps looking to buy a kit or upgrade your kit, definitely let me know. Yep, Faith bought one and she got a great deal. We also have options to split up the cost of a kit over a couple months. If you talk to Nick and I, we can help work that out with you. So anyone looking to upgrade or buy a kit, let me know. And then for all the Intermountain reps, we have a new kit in IMD. It's in a storage unit just right across from the Sandy office. And any rep needing to borrow that kit, you can find all the info, where it's located, the code, things like that, on the team website. There's like a document with all that info. I also will be coordinating with every rep borrowing a kit to make sure you know when to pick it up, when to drop it off, stuff like that. So nothing goes missing. But yeah, definitely reach out if you are interested in how much a kit would cost and things like that. We can help work it out with you.
Awesome. Appreciate it, Noah. Yeah, if you're interested in buying a kit, let us know. If you haven't worked an event yet and you just finished field training, we don't necessarily recommend you buy it right off the bat. Maybe get a couple events in before you decide to commit, because it is an investment. But whenever you're ready, just let Noah know, and we can definitely find something. The great thing about our kits is they're typically are lightly used kits, and you can just go pick it up from a storage unit. It's all set up. So you don't have to, figure out how to set up a display kit or anything. It's all done for you. You just go pick it up from that local storage unit and it's yours. So, and then, yeah, we can finance it for you too, like Noah had mentioned. So, I'm also, I know obviously there is those pin messages in GroupMe for the Skyway and the Northwoods unit. I'll get that out for Intermountain as well. And Intermountain reps, we have to name the kit. So we are looking for ideas. We usually do famous people, but if you have an idea, definitely text Noah and I, and we got to come up with a name for it yet. So yeah, appreciate all of you for sharing those updates. These guys are awesome. So if you just by their little 3 to 5 minute update, if you don't understand how much they're working for the team in the background, you're nuts. These guys are amazing. They're doing a lot of stuff for you guys in the background just to make your lives easier. So definitely thank them next time you see them, or shoot them a quick appreciation over text, because they're all amazing at what they do. A lot of these guys are brand new, obviously, but they're already doing a great job. So appreciate it. A couple other updates. So the big thing, obviously, that's happening today in the next 2 days, shift pick calls. So just as a reminder on how this works, maybe this is your first time doing shift picks. Maybe this is your 10th time, but you still don't understand it. Totally fine. That's what this update is for, right? So we did have a new rule change for those of you that are in tier 1, right? So how we're going to start the call at 2 o'clock Central Time is the only 2 divisions that you can pick in are the 2 divisions that you have. So the one that you reside in, and then the second one that you picked. If you are a North Star rep, you only picked one because you reside in North Star, and obviously we are not picking North Star events. Okay, so you only pick those 2 in those 2 or 1 division. So Tara, yes, I see you typing in the chat here, so I'm going to use you as an example. So Tara is a Big Sky rep, and the neighboring division that she decided to pick was Intermountain. So starting the call, Tara can only pick in Big Sky and Intermountain, right? Once we get done picking, for those tier 1 reps that decide to stay on the call, we'll go back through the order and pick through all 8 divisions. So at that point, Tara would be able to pick in any division that I coordinate, right? Any division that's part of our team, all 8 divisions. There is still travel restrictions. So if somebody had already picked it, let's say, for example, Tara was interested in flying into Milwaukee to work an event for some reason, which, hey, you never know. You can do what you want. Let's say Vern picked it as a Northwoods rep. That means Tara still wouldn't be able to pick it because there is already a visiting rep at that event. Once there is one outside rep at an event, the rest of the shifts are reserved for local reps that reside in that division until the unstaffed phone call when everyone's picked through. So that's same with all the divisional calls. Obviously there'll be some reps that jump in on, let's say for Big Sky, maybe there are, some Intermountain reps jump on. Let's say Q is there and Q wants to work an event, but Noah already picked it in the Big Sky calendar. That means Q can't pick that because there's already an outside rep there. So that is the travel rule, right? So you only can pick within your local division if there's already an outside rep. Really the only time that there's going to be an outside rep is if there's a tier 1 rep that picked it, because everyone else picks within their local division. The only 2 divisions that don't count as like a travel rule is Chicago and Northern Illinois. Their calendars are combined and they're treated as 1 division. So if Northern Illinois picks a rep picks a Chicago event, another Northern Illinois rep can also pick that Chicago event. Travel restrictions don't matter between those 2 divisions. They're considered 1 division for events.
Hey, Nick, I just want to make sure I'm hearing you right. So instead of like,
hold that thought, Tuck. And then the order of the calls. So if you don't know them already, you can write them down. Otherwise, you can see them on our website. So obviously we're on the events team call right now. It started at noon. It ends at 1. Well, we'll probably end at 1:30, but it ends at probably like 1:45. 2 o'clock, and these are Central Time Zone. 2 o'clock is Tier 1. 3 p.m. Central Time is Big Sky. 4 p.m. Central Time is Chicago. 5 p.m. is Gateway. 6 p.m. is Intermountain. And then it's like, well, what about Northwoods? That is tomorrow. So tomorrow's shift pick calls, 9 a.m. Central Time for Wednesday the 28th. That's tomorrow, is Northwoods. 10 a.m. Central Time, that is Skyway tomorrow. 11 a.m. is Southern Wisconsin, and 12 p.m. or noon Central Time tomorrow is the unstaffed phone call. The unstaffed phone call is for if you want to work an event that is not in your division, you can jump on that phone call, and if there's staffing available, there's no travel restrictions that apply. So if you're a big Sky rep and you want to work in Chicago, go for it. If you want to, you can work in literally any division that you want. That is what that phone call is for. We would rather have somebody there than nobody. Questions about shift picks? Tuck, go for it. If you're there. Any other questions? Can't hear you, Tuck.
First,
There he is.
until everyone is done, and then you get free game on unpicked tier one.
We
in
missed
the tier one call, right?
Tuck. I missed the first part. You weren't. We couldn't hear you. If you could start over.
Oh, can you hear me now?
Yep.
All right. I'm just making sure I understand it right. So during tier one picking, you can only pick from your two designated divisions unless you're Chicago, whatever, right?
Yep.
And then once everyone bows out or everyone's done or whatever, then you can go to any unpicked tier one stuff that's not in your divisions, right?
Correct. Yep.
Cool. And then the follow-up calls are for the lower tier shows for your respective divisions, right?
Correct.
I
Yep.
was
Tier
always
two and tier three, and any brand new events that are unstaffed. Yes.
right. And then after all of that, if the show makes it there to the unstaffed call, then it's the freest of free games, correct?
Correct. Anyone can pick it. Doesn't matter where you live, what your name is. You can pick whatever you want.
Cool. Cool. Just want to make sure I had it all.
Okay, cool. Another
right.
thing. So on the local calls, so tier one, obviously everyone's tier one, but for all the local calls, just as a reminder, tier two events are available after tier one reps are done picking. So sorry, tier one and tier two reps can pick in tier two. Once they are done picking, then tier three reps can pick those events, but you cannot pick them while the tier two and tier one reps are still picking. So just as a reminder. So let's say for Northwoods, I'm just going to use three people as an example. We've got Vernon on, Jared Farber, and we'll say Brooke. So those three reps. So Vern is tier one, Jared's tier two, Brooke is tier three. Let's say Vern is done picking right away, and then Jared is still picking, and he picks a couple tier two events. And then it's Brooke's turn. Since Jared is still on the phone call, she cannot pick any tier two events until Jared's done picking all of his events. Whether he's picking tier three or tier two, it doesn't matter. And then once Jared's done picking, though, then obviously all the tier two events are available to be picked, and so on. And I'll explain that on all the local calls again as well. Any other questions? Is this all making sense?
I guess I have a quick question.
Go for it.
I'm new, so this is a lot of information.
Yep. Yeah.
How do you know when do you have to put the new order form in when we do shift pick calls, or how do you know when they're booked and stuff like that?
Yes, good question, Samuel. So when you pick an event, the status is either going to be booked, booking in process, not booked, or prospective. Right? If it says booked or prospective or booking in process, you don't have to do a thing. You just have to sign up for it and you're good. If it says not booked, then we need you to submit a booking request on the website. So if you don't know how to do that, your best bet is to reach out to Caden, because I think he has a training video on how to do it, right? Yes, Caden? Okay, cool. So if you don't know how to fill out the booking request form because you're brand new, totally fine. Just text Caden. He'll send you that video so you can watch it. But yeah, if it says not booked, it will not get booked unless it comes through as a prospective randomly or you fill out the booking form. So make sure you fill out the booking request form. And that's all on our website. So appreciate you asking that, Samuel. Any other questions about shift picks? Awesome. Last update. So many of you that do check your email, you may have seen a video that I sent of an update with the calendar. So if you didn't watch the video, this is for you. But yeah, you should definitely watch the video. So as you can see in our tier one calendar and all the other calendars, there have been a couple changes. So you should be able to see it now. So as you can see, the venue is gone and the price is gone. We removed those from the calendar, and people are like, oh no, what happened to it? Where'd it go? You can still view it, but you can view it on Vector Connect. So I'm just going to jump here because we got to figure out how to move all these buttons to the bottom of my screen because Zoom always does that. But anyway, so when you're on Vector Connect, you click on these 3 lines up here. You go to Events, My Events, and then My Event Management. So all of you can see this. As long as you, even the brand new people that just signed the DocuSign, you should be able to see this as well. So this has, if you are on multiple teams, for those of you, so I'm on the TGP team and then also Robert Wicks's North Star team. So some of you are on multiple teams, that's okay. The best way to find events just that are on my team or our team, I should say, you just type in my last name under the coordinator and it'll sort it by coordinator. You can see they all say Nicholas Snyder on there. This has every single event that I have ever coordinated in the history of my career. So that's one huge benefit. You can see any event that we've literally worked. You can see the history. So I'm going to type in the NERI home show that we work in Milwaukee. You can literally see all the different NERI events that we've worked. And obviously there's the fall, spring. You can see all the stats, how much we paid for it and everything. So there's a lot of information here. I've been able to see this forever. This is now brand new for you guys, but it's great because you're going to be able to see any information. So if you, let's say you're working an event and you're unsure if it's booked because you're unsure if the calendar is correct, you literally can go in here and the statuses are all live, right? You can see this event. I actually just put in the booking for this. It looks like we need a contract. So it's like, cool. I don't even need to ask Nick because it literally says we need a contract. So I should go find the contract and email it to Nick so he can attach it to the event, right? The location you can see is on here. So Wisconsin State Fair Park, that's where the home show happens. That is obviously on there. So you know where the venue is. The city's obviously there and in the calendar. But then you can also see the cost, right? So yes, it's a very expensive one. We're not too pleased with that, but we did well. So we sold 21 grand. And you can see how many orders, it's all on here. I think Event Analytics is easier to see some of this information, but if you just want to look here, you can definitely look here. It says the number of orders and everything. Here's the great thing. You can see promoter info. So it's like, oh, Nick didn't send me setup instructions. I don't know when I'm supposed to set up at my event. You literally can click on My Event Management. You scroll all the way over to the side. Oh, you can see, oh, we worked with Michelle in the past, and here's the phone number. Cool. Call this number. Hey, is Michelle available? I just need to know when I can set up. I'm working the show this weekend. Right? So there's also an email. So if they don't answer the phone, you can email them. The website. So if you're Googling it and you can't find it, there's the event website right here in My Event Management. It's pretty amazing, right? So a couple of these icons too, and there's a training video on all this too. I didn't explain the promoter info or anything, but now you guys, for those of you on the call, obviously, or watching this recording, you can see it. You can see a shift scheduler. So we're not really utilizing this at this point, but we will be in the future. So you can see the different reps. So obviously there'll be a training on this, but we're not utilizing it right now, but in the future, we will be utilizing this. So if you want to get familiar with it, this is the only event that we, tested it on, but you can see who worked the event, what days they worked and all that. You can see the booth. It's like, oh, I don't know what booth number I am. You can click on here. As long as they were given to us by the promoter, the booth numbers will be in here. So for the NERI home show, we were in booth 923, 921, and we had a 10 by 20. We're in a corner and we didn't have electricity, right? If there's any other information, it'll all be here. So like the booth location. So maybe there's an event where it's got multiple buildings. It'll say what building's here, as long as we have that access to that information, but it'll all be listed in here. So you'll be able to see the booth size if you're a corner and if you have electricity. So it's no longer, hey, Nick, are we a corner this weekend? Because I want to make sure that we have enough space. You just go onto the event and see if we're a corner. If we're not, and you want to be a corner, you say, hey, Nick, we want to book a corner. I'm going to call the promoter right now and see if they have one available. Awesome. Scroll over the promoter's phone number, call the promoter, see if they have one available. They do. Awesome. Hey, Nick, we're going to switch it to a corner. Here's the information. Can you book this for us, please? Yep, no problem. Super easy. You can see all the orders on here. I think yours might look a little bit different. Mine, I can actually see customer names. You guys will only see, it'll look like Eventalytics. It should be like a rep icon. So for example, because I saw it on here before, there's this American Legion event. Mike Dowd's the coordinator because he coordinates federal events, and you can see there's a random order on here. So this is what it'll look like for you guys. And then let's say we'll go back to that Neary event. You want to see what has happened in the booking process. This has a history of everything that I've worked on and everything that Cutco Events has worked on. So you guys can see all this information. So there's a communication breakdown between me, the promoter, Cutco Events, me and Cutco Events, which usually never happens. But anything, you can see it all in here. So if you have a question, you might be able to answer it there. But it's better to reach out to me because I can dissect this information probably faster. But if you feel called to, look at the summary, it's all on there. Cost breakdown. You can see everything on here. So there's the booth costs. There was a credit card fee. So that's why it was $78 more than what we anticipated. And then there's also a random membership fee. So some home shows, you have to be a member in order to work. This is one of them. So that was half of it. And the other half's going on the fall show. So that's why it costs $3,083.30. It's not an even number because there's a credit card fee and all this other stuff on there. So if you're curious about what something costs, you just click on that icon. It has all that there. And then you can see recaps. I'm not going to click on that, but if for some reason you need to view that, you are able to. And then that is everything. So here's the deal. So obviously this is a brand new update and it's kind of a big one, right? It's kind of small because it's only the price and the location, but it is still a big change compared to what we've had in the past. So something I would anticipate is there are going to be more changes coming. I don't know if it's going to be 5 years from now. I don't know if it's going to be next month. I don't know if it's going to be 3 years from now. It could be next week. We don't know. But one thing that I can guarantee you is I will be creating training videos so you guys are definitely prepared on how to utilize all of these new tools. So you guys will be prepared as long as you jump on YouTube and watch that video that I create. So this last one is only 5 minutes. I actually probably went into more detail than I did on the video. But I would definitely recommend watching that video if you haven't already. And when we do come out with an update, just know that I'm going to be there ready to supply some sort of training so you know how to work the tool. So start getting used to my event management because my event management is definitely going to be the future at some point. It doesn't have everything that we can use now, but yeah, it will be the future. So get familiar with it. Start using it now. And if you guys have any questions as you're utilizing these different tools, definitely let me know and I'm happy to help you out. Schedule a call if we need. So, but that is our call for today. I'm happy to stick on for any questions. So if you have any questions about anything that I just covered, definitely feel free to stay on and I can answer them now. But otherwise, I will see you all at your shift pick call. Tier 1 starts at 2 o'clock in 20 minutes. So for those of you that are Tier 1, I'll see you then. But yeah, I will take any questions at this time if you have any. Jared Farber, go for it.
Hey, so I really like the training video for that feature. I was just curious if you could maybe walk through some of the other tools and make training videos so that people can fully utilize them, like event analytics, or I don't even know what other tools there might be under the events tab.
Yeah.
But like, I assume there's like a whole skill set of people who've been a CSP and, sell at a high level and know how to unlock the full potential versus just like, these are my orders, these are my customers, So like, I'm guessing that a lot of people are underutilizing it. I'm sure I am. I know I am. And it'd be cool if there's just like a few different of those quick training videos, like you said, to help people level up the Vector Connect skills.
Yeah, definitely. So yeah, I can definitely create some videos. Ventalytics, that's definitely an easy one, and I think that's a great idea. So appreciate you sharing that, Jared, and asking that question. So yeah, I can definitely create a training on that because I know there's a lot of us that already know how to use it. But if you're newer or just started selling full time in the last couple of years, you might not know how to utilize it as effectively as I can as a coordinator, right? So I can definitely train you guys on all that stuff. Happy to do that. So yeah, if there's anything else, let me know. If there's a tool that you're like, hey, I don't know how to use this, definitely just shoot me an email. And these training videos are not going to come out tomorrow, right? So But yes, I will definitely put it on my list of things to cover, and yeah, we'll definitely try to get it done, at least before campaign 2. I'm not going to say they're for sure done before campaign 2, but I'll do everything that I can to get more training out there for you guys. So appreciate it, Jared. Juju, go for it.
Quick question. So silly me moved my service call to 11 tomorrow from 10. And that's during our shift picking.
Yes.
Can I already looked at the events that I want to work. Can I just text them to you? And if it gets to me in the picking order, awesome. If not, I can go from there.
Unfortunately, no. So everyone that's been on my team for years, they already understand this, but I'm glad you asked this, Juju. You must be present in order to pick. So if you're not present, unfortunately, we'll have to skip you. So hopefully you can move your service call. But yes, you do have to be present in order to pick. So
Okay.
So sorry, man. So hopefully you can move it back to 10 or figure it out.
Yeah. Been in lingo. I'll move it.
Okay. Appreciate it, man. Noah. You're on mute. There you go.
Yep. So I was just curious how this works. There are going to be some invite only shows coming up. And do you typically base your invites just off of skills, or do you base it off of like availability as well? Because I'm curious, like if I pick a show that overlaps with the invite only show that I want, how do you typically suggest a rep goes about that?
Yeah. So this is what I would recommend. So invites will be going out in March. So for those of you that are eligible, you'll know in March. So the big ones that everyone is probably thinking about are Wisconsin State Fair, Missouri State Fair, Utah State Fair. So even Utah State Fair, which is in campaign 3. So even if it was a pickable event, you wouldn't even be able to pick it anyway. But those 3 state fairs will be sending out invites in March. So we don't do it based off of availability. So what I would recommend is if you do pick an event and you're unsure if you want to work it, because if you get invited to an invite only event, then you'd rather work that, then just do not submit a booking request until you know for sure if you've been invited or not. Okay. I don't base it off of availability. I just pick my best friends. No, I'm just kidding. It's all skill set. So we do look at numbers. So, we look at average order, we look at total sales at events. We look at what you did previously at that physical event if you were there last year. We also look at what you've done in just, the previous, the first few months of the year. We look at a lot of different numbers, but it's all done based off of your numbers. I don't care what name is attached to that number. We look at numbers. The other thing that we do look at is if you're a team player. If you're somebody that's impossible to work with, probably not going to get invited, even if you're the best sales rep ever, right? So make sure as you continue to work events, you continue to be a pleasure to work with. I will say that many of you are great to work with. There's actually literally everyone's great. So just continue to be great. You won't have an issue there, but yeah, just make sure you continue to be a team player, continue to write up ROR for other people. I think it's so funny because we literally, we just had training, obviously. Julia, who's actually a new rep in Northwoods, just worked her first event, sold $1,600, $1,000 for herself and $600 for other people on the team. And she profited, right? So I just look at somebody like that. And then there's some people where it's like they've been around for 10 years and I haven't seen them write up an ROR order in years, right? Or months, right? So if you don't write up ROR, trust me, I know. So that is also another part of being a team player is continuing to serve everyone's clients, because if you serve everyone's clients, the event does better, the team does better, everyone does better. And the best thing is you don't lose your turn. So if you sell to my customer, you still get to sell again to the next person, which is amazing, right? So you get paid and you still get to keep your turn. It's crazy. So just remember that as you continue to work throughout the year. But yeah, so that was kind of a long answer, but that is how we go off, decide invite only. So don't be afraid to pick an event. We'll figure it out later or staff it with somebody else or even cancel it if we have to. But but yeah, so, you know, pick everything that you're excited to work is my recommendation. So. Another thing, if you are a tier 3 rep, I would not anticipate getting invited to an invite only. Nothing against you, just haven't had enough experience yet, or maybe aren't selling quite enough yet. Sometimes we do take a flyer on a tier 3 rep if we need to, but most of the time it's only tier 1 and tier 2 reps that get invited to these, you know, really high quality events. So just get to tier 2 if you want to get invited, but just be aware of that as well. So. Does that help, Noah? That was a lot. Okay, cool. Bonds, go for it.
Hey, was listening in kind of a little bit, so you may have already said this here. I apologize in advance, but
We're good.
In tier 1 reps, so we got the call here in like 10 minutes. And then we got the one for Gateway at 5. Do I need to be on both of those? Is that?
Yes. So for tier 1, and obviously totally fine. You're new to our shift pick call, so totally understand. So yeah, tier 1 is for all the tier 1 events. So every tier 1 event that we actually work, you'll be able to pick through those on the tier 1 call. And then if you want to work any tier 2 or tier 3 events in Gateway, you'll also want to jump on that call. If you're only going to work tier 1 events and you don't want to work any tier 2 and tier 3, that's totally fine. Obviously, you don't have to jump on the Gateway call then. But or you know, the opposite, if you're like, oh, my schedule's full in North Star, I don't want to work any of these tier 1s that are available. I only want to work some of these tier 2 and tier 3 events that I've worked over the last couple of years. Then obviously you can skip the tier 1 call too. But yeah, so in order to pick shifts though, you have to be at both. Yes.
Gotcha. Cool. Thanks.
Yeah, my pleasure, man. Any other questions? Sweet. Well, hey, appreciate all you guys being on. And if you need anything, shoot me a text. I'll be available in and on and off, and we'll see tier 1 reps here in about 12 minutes. Have a good one.
Do we just stay on this one?
Yeah, you can just stay on, Bonds.
Okay, cool.